Good morning, I am Adam Harris, and this is The Day Ahead. Go ahead and click subscribe below to receive daily market analysis videos and important alerts. On the economic calendar for today, we have EU CPI data coming out at 10 a.m. and in the currencies, the US dollar index is expected to push upwards towards the 96 level. In the commodities, we wait on the metals and the oils to make their intentions clear as they test their weekly resistance levels. Then in the global indices and equities, it's much of the same as the bullishness continues to keep most charts moving higher, even if only cautiously. You can jump to any chapter by clicking on the time link in the description below. Starting off with the currencies, this is the euro against the US dollar. Actually, it pinged back now within a range that it had been in since October, end of October. And this really showing continued ongoing indecision and the weakening of the euro against the US dollar, showing here the potential for a stronger US dollar. Then comparing that to cable, sterling against the US dollar, despite all of the political upheaval that the government has been going through the last week, the sterling has actually managed to kind of stay the course and stay where it is, encountering a level of resistance here at 1.29. So for today, expecting a little bit of a retracement there and potentially a stronger US dollar. Then having a look at the JPY charts, euro yen still doing all right, going along sideways pretty much, still looking as though it's potentially going to weaken there. The same actually with Swiss yen, also looking as though that's going to continue to head lower and just not trending as strongly as it was. And then a new one on my watch list for today is euro kiwi. So this is a swing entry on the daily time frame, price having broken through a recent level of support, putting back into the moving averages here, as well as a potential level for resistance. So between today and tomorrow, I'll be looking for a bearish rejection candle and looking for this to become a swing high and potentially take the first trade in a new downtrend, ideally at the start of it as well. So we've got low highs, low lows, just looking for the next swing high opportunity there. Onto the comms and having a look at gold here, without a doubt forming a bullish breakout pattern, especially if this bullish candle continues to stay this way, compared to say silver, which is now finally starting to react against that level of resistance and a bit overdue in terms of that almost having broken the low. This a bit of indecision candle at the moment on the weekly time frame, looking for that to break the low and begin a retracement, which is long overdue. There's been very little movement for both gold and silver this week in terms of that sitting just below resistance. Then having a look at palladium, this continuing to push higher, strong bullish candle there and long overdue for a retracement. So this one waiting for a retracement ultimately back into the moving averages or a little bit lower down to a level of resistance to test it for support. So that's ultimately going to happen. The question is, it should actually have happened already. So it looks as though that will begin next week then. So then also looking at Brent oil fund price continuing to push higher within the sell zone. It's still within the sell zone. It's sitting between two key levels. So most likely then going to continue to head up towards 18 to test that for resistance. And then looking at crude oil here as well, waiting on that weekly candle at the moment, it looking more bullish than bearish. So still waiting for confirmation of what oil is wanting to do this week. Then onto the global indices, starting off here with Wall Street, nice uptrend on the daily, and price having just broken through resistance, now heading down a little bit lower. And so looking to see if we do test support today, the moving averages will be coming up to meet it. So potentially likely to head down today and find some support. If we have a significant move down and break the lows, then of course the market conditions are likely to change. At the moment, the momentum indicates that it is nice and healthy. Moving on and comparing that, excuse me, to the S&P 500, we've got price still testing that resistance. You can see a bit of an indecision candle here. We've got the 50, 20, and 10. This is a weekly time frame sitting in that sell zone. The moving averages sitting in the sell zone of those moving averages, and they're all a bearish formation, and it's up against resistance. So bearish candle or an indecision candle here could ultimately turn out to be a swing high if the market ultimately decides to head lower next week. So that looks a little bit more obvious when compared to say the UK 100. So here we've got the UK 100 price actually pulling into the moving averages, into resistance, producing a bearish candle here. So bearish candle here and a break below the low of this next week might be a shorting opportunity for the weekly time frame to actually continue its downtrend. So all of that just setting off against levels, looking as a viable shorting option. Comparing that as well to say the Germany at 30, there's that indecision candle in the moving in the moving averages in the sell zone there. So indecision here producing a potential swing high on the weekly time frame next week, especially if it breaks below that level, and consequently then looking to short that as it heads low. Hong Kong actually not looking any different, and Australia continuing to look relatively bullish here on its level of support with that monthly candle and that swing low in place. So just some slight hesitation there on those US indices. I'll be looking to see how they close over the next 24 hours. Not really getting any clear trading opportunities at this exact moment in time. And lastly, on the equities in focus, looking at Alphabet, Google here on the monthly time frame, just seeing how strong that bullish candle is forming on that monthly level. So again, this could be ultimately a head and shoulders forming here, but so far this looking pretty strong, which is likely to imply if we break the high that in February we will get a push higher. Apple just starting to tick up. This is the lagger. This one just starting to tick up slowly, but has a significant way to go compared to the others. Amazon continuing to look incredibly bullish. Microsoft also looking bullish, and Boston Scientific now having resumed its bullishness. It had gone down to a bit of indecision, now looking quite strong and bullish, and also looking very likely to head on back up to 39,000 between now and say March. But we'll see how it is by the end of the month. We're just past the halfway mark of January already. So there we go, and we've got that swing low forming on EasyJet as well. Barclays forming a relatively significant bullish candle in my opinion, attempting to get above that level of resistance and find some strong support here as well, but that current monthly candle looking really quite strong and quite big and bullish, indicating a potential swing low there. Comparing that to say Lloyd's Banking Group as well, a very large, almost engulfing bullish candle off that level of support, implying as well that that could be a swing low and starting to head up towards that 63, 64, 65 area towards between February and March. And just finishing off there with BP. BP just halfway through that month, as I said, this candle having come down a little bit. I'd like to see where it is when it closes towards the end of the month, but all of these continuing to look quite bullish so far, so no signs of any change there. So that being said, ladies and gents, I want you to have a great day, and if it's trending, I'll be there. Just a reminder to hit the subscribe button. If you want to stay abreast of what's happening in the market, I'll be producing and bringing you the latest in the markets every morning in a freshly produced video.